Hello there, kia ora. Let's have a little chat about coded communications. Now, to be fair, all communication is technically coded. You need to be able to decode it using tools and skills and experiences that you've had that lead you to a point where you know what's going on. So, this video is coded in English. And if you know English, then you can decode what it is that I'm saying. And if you don't know English, I apologize. And this probably isn't the video for you. All forms of communication have their own unique types of codes that we use to decode what is being said or being shown. And sometimes you can hide within certain communications codes that only certain groups are going to be able to understand. For example, when it comes to visual communications like movies and TV shows, there are shortcuts like good guy wears white, bad guy wears black, or the villain in the Bond film has got to be that dude with the physical deformity, which that's not good. That doesn't sound very progressive at all. There's also things like camera angles. A low angle looking up gives a sense of authority, and a high angle looking down gives a sense of vulnerability. Even the colors that get used in visual storytelling tell a bit of a story for a certain reason. This video, for example, is coded blue and green because it gives you a sense of peace, an idea of reality, and it was from the Matrix, which is kind of cool. This is what the video actually looks like without any color grading. Oh my god, I'm so pale! Anyway, colors are really important when it comes to how we feel about certain things and what we link it into. Red in film, for example, can be tied into movies like American Beauty or Moulin Rouge. And when it comes to videos and photos, a lot of the language is actually the same. So, for example, when you see the taxpayer union out there using their Stop Three Waters campaign in a color palette of red, white, and black, that really specifically ties into the color palette of Te Pāti Māori, which is also red, white, and black. One of the heavy focus points that was really specifically pushed by the Taxpayer Union and their funders at the Atlas Group was to make sure that they focused on co-governance because that made people feel like Māori were coming for them. And by using those colour palettes, it creates a link that for some people showed really specifically Stop Three Waters was about stopping Māori. That's a bit of a dog whistle. But it's not just in visual communication that we see this happening. In spoken communication, for example, there are words and terms and phrases that we know have hidden meanings, like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Which you know means that your parents are like super angry at you. Or woke, as a word, for example, has a meaning to some people that's really quite negative, but to other people means that those people who think the first thing are idiots. Words and language and tone and delivery are really important with how we decode information. And when it comes to things like politicians and politics, well, that can also be really heavily problematic in how things get coded or decoded. Let's take, for example, the coalition agreement to change government departments to English first with their names. If we take an organization like Place and Communities, well, that's what the new English name should be under the coalition agreement, but Chris Bishop still calls it Kāinga Ora because, as he says, that's what it's known as. And that's not necessarily a bad argument, but there are people out there who code that as meaning, well, Kāinga Ora is not getting a name change, therefore it is a department that deals specifically with Māori and Māori issues. And that's a coded language. That's a dog whistle right there that might not necessarily be what Chris Bishop meant when he said it, but for those at the other end, that's how they interpret it. And there are hundreds of examples of this that happen all the time, all over the world. And being able to decode them is really difficult if you don't have the tools or the skills or the experience to do so. But at the same time, learning those skills and experiences can be really hard or impossible to replicate. So we have to be really aware that sometimes there will be coded messaging and something that we're not necessarily available to be able to understand.